Hello, Algebra 2 students. We are going to finish the lesson 6.6 notes today. And what I decided to do is focus on the back portion of function composition. I know in both classes today, I only briefly got to talk about a small portion and I didn't get into much of it. If we still have questions on the front part, then you can ask me in class on Wednesday. I feel like that was a little more understandable. I feel like this is usually a struggle. So composition of functions. As we talk about composition of functions, I mentioned in class that f composed with g right here, what I sometimes refer to as fog, is also the same thing as f of g of x. And that's how you'll always see me rewrite it. And the idea here is that g of x is on the inside. So the idea is that you'll take whatever g is and you will plug it in to f. Just the opposite here. We have what I call Goff. It's g composed with f of x, and going in that order, it's g of f of x. In this case, notice that f of x is on the inside, and so you're going to plug whatever f of x is into g of x. Now, as we look at example A, let's do some practice. And I'm just going to go ahead and redo A. I know I did it briefly in the classes, but didn't really get through it very well. So notice f of x is defined to be x minus 5. You'll always be told what f is. G of x is defined to be x squared. And there's 3 different questions we're being asked. So the first question we're being asked is g composed with f at -3. So Goff of -3, if you will. And the first thing I'm always going to do is rewrite it. So this one's going to be g of f of -3. You always, when you have multiple parentheses, you always want to start on the inside. So when I start on the inside there, I'm starting with what is f of -3. So if I go here and I look at f says to do x minus 5. Except what am I putting in for x in this particular problem? I'm putting in -3. So that means in order to do f of -3, it says x minus 5, so that means I'm really going to do -3 minus 5. Do a little bit of brief math, and what is -3 minus 5? That is -8. Now notice that was the inside of the parentheses. So we carried that down. On the inside, we found what f of -3 is when I plug -3 into f. On the outside, notice what I haven't touched. There's still a g. And so now you're being asked to find g of -8. So that means whatever g is, in this case g is x squared, we're going to take the negative in, -8 in, and we're going to plug it in. So if it's -8 and it says to do x squared, that means I'm going to do -8 and square it. And -8 times -8 is 64. So there's probably a couple other ways I could teach this. There may be other ways people show you how to do this, but this is what I think works easiest for me to teach. That was Goff of -3. Now let's try fog of -3. So what I would say is f composed with g of -3, or f of g of -3. Just like last time, I'm going to tell you to start where? We're always going to start on the inside. So as we start on the inside there, g of -3 means I'm going to take -3 and put it into g. G says to do x squared. So if I take the -3 and I put it in there, that means we're going to be doing -3 squared. And when I simplify that, negative 3 squared, negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. Again, that's the inside. We still have to apply whatever's on the outside. So in this case, it's an F. 9 is my new insides. So now I am figuring out F of 9. And what does F ask me to do? It says to do whatever X is and subtract 5. In this case, my insides is X and my insides is 9. So since it says X minus 5, I'm going to say 9 minus 5. And of course, 9 minus 5 is 4. And one more here. Excuse me. Our last one is G composed with F at A. And G composed with F at A is going to be G of F of A. Now ask yourself, where do you start? And of course the answer, there's parentheses and everything, so we're going to start on the inside. F of A says every place we would normally see an X, we're going to replace it with A. So F says X minus 5. Except instead of X, what are we being told to use? A. So right there, F of A is A minus 5. Now, can we subtract A and 5? And of course the answer is no. So that's my new insides. What still remains on the outside? And that of course is the G. So now it's G of A minus 5. And with that, what is G? G says to do X squared, except what do we have to put in here? We have to put in this value of A minus 5. And we're going to, it says to do X squared, so we're going to square it. So that means I'm going to write this as A minus 5 quantity squared. And we can write this as two ways. One option is yes, you could possibly just leave it like this. Now, would Math Excel let you? It kind of depends on what the directions are. The other option would be to FOIL it out. Okay, hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. Let's move to example B and try this with different functions and numbers and see if we can carry over the understanding. When we get down to example B, notice F is now defined to be X squared plus 1. G is now defined to be X minus 2. And we have three pieces we're asked to find. The first of which is F composed with G of negative 2. In other words, F of G of negative 2. Okay, where do we begin? And that is on the inside. So G of negative 2. Right here it's G of X. Every place I see an X, I'm going to replace it with negative 2. So since it was X minus 2, if we have a negative 2 in there, we're going to say negative 2 minus 2. And negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. That is your insides. What does our outside still say to do? And that said there was an F out front. So this is going to be F of negative 4. So now we're looking at F. Every place I see the X, I'm going to replace with negative 4. And F of X is X squared plus 1. So instead of X squared, we're going to say negative 4 squared plus 1. Negative 4 squared, negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. And 16 plus 1 is 17. Same process, just different numbers here. Okay, let's try Goff of 5. G composed with F of 5. So again, I'm going to write it out as Goff of 5, or in other words, G of F of 5. As with previously, I'm going to say start on the inside. F of 5. What's F? F is x squared plus 1. And so in order to do F of 5, we're going to do, instead of x squared plus 1, 5 squared plus 1. And 5 squared is 25, and 25 plus 1 is 26. Okay. Am I done with that 26? Of course, the answer is no. We need to keep going. Now it is g of 26. So what does the g function tell us to do? G tells us to do x minus 2. And my x value, though, is 26. So this time we're going to do 26 minus 2. And 26 minus 2, of course, is 24. Okay, one more. And that is fog of A. Or in other words, F composed of G of A. So again, we're back to A. We're going to practice plugging a variable instead of numbers in this time. In order to do F of G of A, where do we start? You know it, we start on the inside. So G of A. Okay, remember G is x minus 2. So if it's G minus A, or excuse me, if it's G of A, and it's x minus 2, so instead of x, we're going to say A minus 2. Can I subtract A and 2? No, so we're going to leave them as is. So we have A minus 2 inside, and then F is now my outside. So now we're going to follow the F rule, F of A minus 2. F says to do x squared plus 1. If we do x squared plus 1, well, my inside there is A minus 2. Except for A minus 2, we're going to put in for x, and x is x squared plus 1. So that means instead of x squared, A minus 2 squared plus 1. You might need to FOIL that out and add it, or you might be able to leave it as is. I have it left as is in my notes, but I can't remember. You might need to actually FOIL it out and add the pieces. Okay, I don't want to get this video too long, so I'm going to make that my focus. You're welcome to look at the word problem if you want and take a peek into that. Take the rest of the period, be working on finishing up your lesson 6.6 in MathXL. And tomorrow when I'm back, we will look at any homework questions or anything we need to like that. Your homework, of course, on MathXL is lesson 6.6 in MathXL. Okay, guys, have a good day, and I will see you when I get back.